Okay,
I don't know, I was like,
We're
who are we waiting
calling-
for?
calling this meeting to order. It's the Thursday, December 15th, regular board meeting, 2016. And we have all of our trustees present except Marty Bloom, and I think Marty will be with us shortly. We're expecting her. Welcome to everyone in the audience. Good of you to come out on a cold, kind of wet day, and thanks for being here. We have an item to be taken, two items to be taken out of order, and the first one is swearing in three of our trustees, Marianne Kugler, Veronica Gallardo, and Craig Nielsen, as we have just had an election this last beginning of November, so we swear them in, and I am the fortunate one to do that. We're going to stand up in place, and
And take our script.
right there, right there. They will
Oh,
do
is that what
the,
you said?
they
Stand
can,
in place. Oh, good.
the people who are recording can see us, so it's easier. Okay, raise your right hand, even if you're left-handed, and repeat after me. I,
I,
in your name,
Veronica Gallardo,
solemnly swear that I will support
solemnly swear that I will support
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Our next item out of order is the elections of the vice president and president for the next year. And because of our discussion last week, I have asked Peter, who assures me he is not a candidate for either position, to conduct the election.
And if elected, I would not. I declare the nominations for President of the Board of Trustees to be open. Marianne?
I'd like to nominate Marcia Croninger, please.
Marcia is nominated. Are there other nominations?
No, I would like to second that.
No need for a second for a
Oh, okay.
nomination, but thank you. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, I declare the nominations to be closed. Is there a motion to approve Marcia Croninger by affirmation?
I so move.
Second? A second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Marcia is elected. The nominations are open for the position of Vice President. Hearing none, we'll,
Wait.
Take
You're
volunteers.
moving a little fast there.
oh, yes. Oh, good. You had a nomination?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Jonathan Abud.
Jonathan is nominated. Are there other nominations? Yes?
I would like to nominate Marty Bloom.
Marty Bloom is nominated.
I'm going to decline, thank you. I
Marty
have-
has declined.
Yeah, I have another presidency to take care of
Are there other
coming year.
nominations?
Crazy me.
Are there no, yes?
Craig, are you interested in being a vice president? I don't want to nominate you unless you're...
Yes, but I'm not, it's not that big a deal to me. I have one vote, and that's why I'm sitting here. And I don't get an extra vote if I assume that position, but if you like, I would do it again.
So you are a candidate.
Okay?
You're nominating,
Yes.
okay? The nomination of Craig is approved. Are there further nominations? Anybody want to serve as vice president? Okay, nominations are closed. Nominees are Jonathan and Craig. All in favor of Jonathan, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe the count is
It's,
final. Jonathan is elected vice president of this Board of Trustees, and I turn the gavel, not that I had one, back over to President Croninger.
Thank you, Peter. I think we all have an exciting year to look forward to, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Thanks to all of you. Our next item is the recognitions. And we have not everyone here on the list, but 125 years of service for the group. And that's, as always, amazing when we look at these lists.
Yeah, that is amazing, and you know, I really like the tradition that we have at this college of recognizing longevity and dedication of our long-serving employees, and we do have 4 of them with us today. And at the top of my list here is somebody that requested that I not say anything about. I thought I'd just disclose that. Her name's Pat English, and she's sitting right there. She's our Vice President for Human Resources, and out of respect for your not wanting me to say anything, I'm just going to say a few things. And the first one is that when and she'll remember this, when I came to the interviews and first arrived on campus and was looking for the press box, I wasn't sure where it really actually was, I saw this person on the other side of the fence, and she yells at me and she says, "Are you looking for the press box?" And I said, "Yeah." And of course, all the interview folks were down there waiting for me, but that was my first with Pat, and she greeted me very welcomely and pointed me in the right direction. And she's kind of been doing that ever since, actually, pointing me in the right direction. One thing I can always count on from Pat is a very even dialogue and discussion when we're talking about different HR issues or topics. And I really appreciate the way your mind works with that. It's because we need to be able to look at things in an even and balanced way. Not to say that she doesn't have an opinion, because she absolutely has an opinion. And you can ask her about anything and she'll give that to you. But I could go on, but I just want to tell you, Pat, that I really appreciate working with you, and you do such a great job as the Vice President for Human Resources, and we really appreciate you tremendously. And we've made one of these up for her, but she already took it and it's in her office, so I guess it's already hanging up. So I can't present it to you here, but again, thank you so much. So the next person here is Sally Gill, and we have Luce to present her certificate. And Luce is coming. She's making it. There we go. All right.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Croninger, trustees, President Beebe, and guests. I'm Luz Reyes Martin, the Director of Communications, and it's my honor to present Sally Gill, who is recognized today for her 10 years of service to the college. Sally is a marketing and communications specialist in the Office of Communications, works on a variety of projects in our office, in our non-credit programs. What you may not know about Sally is the many years of experience she has in marketing and communications. She's an award-winning advertising professional, and before coming to SBCC, she held positions as an editor and writer. She's also a student of communication and holds a PhD in communications and rhetoric, and was previously an assistant professor of communication. As you can tell, she brings a wealth of knowledge to her position. Our office transitioned from the Marketing and Publications Department to the Office of Communications this past summer. This was a period of transition not only for our department, but for the college as a whole. Throughout that transition, Sally was always positive, willing to step up, and a helpful source of institutional knowledge. Her organizational skills and attention to detail make her a valued member of our team. More than that, she is kind, dedicated, and passionate about SBCC. We heartily congratulate her on this important milestone. Congratulations, Sally. Thank you.
What item are we on? No wonder I can't
The
find it.
teacher in me. Why do I wear a little?
Okay, so the next person is Carrie James Finsky, and I guess we have Liz that's going to present this. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm subbing for Dean Melissa Moreno, who couldn't be here tonight. So it's my honor to present this award. Carrie, come on, Carrie. Okay. Carrie, dedicated and devoted employee serving for the Cosmetology Academy as a senior office assistant. She's been the face of the academy. She works at the front reception area, so she greets everybody that comes in. She schedules the clients. She interfaces between the clients and the students. She pretty much runs the whole front area. Part of her duties are opening the facility, scheduling appointments, answering phones, doing sales and cashiering. She sells items that the students need, answering questions about the school, promoting the school, conducting school tours. She's really responsible, and we thank her for the smooth operation of the academy. And congratulations on 15 years and soon to retire. Congratulations. And this is from Melissa. So congratulations.
I'm alive, I'm kicking.
Okay, so we have Yvonne Ornelas Limon, and presenting that is Barb Freeman.
Hello. I'm here today to recognize Yvonne for her contributions to SBCC over the past 10 years. She started her career with SBCC in the Continuing Ed Division in the Student Services Office, and she joined the Writing Center as a staff member in 2014. In her work as a senior office assistant at the desk, she greets students and she helps them to prepare to meet with Writing Center tutors. She guides them to better understand the process, and since she's the first point of contact, she often helps to reduce their stress levels. Her calm and friendly demeanor is welcoming to students who may have some anxiety about assignments. They may also have some worries about sharing something personal in their writing with a tutor. So Yvonne helps to build a bridge by forming a connection with them right from the start. She easily between making appointments, checking students in, helping them to print their work before they're seated with a tutor, and answering questions about a wide range of concerns, some of which may not even be related to the Writing Center. Yvonne's rapport with our Writing Center tutors is also strong. She helps to manage schedules by informing our tutors when they're running close to session time limits, reminding them to take their breaks, and answering questions about timesheets. She's a pro at multitasking, all the while making it appear effortless. Those of us who have filled in at the front desk, myself included, can attest to this. Yvonne works closely with others on the LRC staff and has offered valuable ideas about how to improve our service to students and faculty. It's a pleasure to have her on our team, and I'd like to ask that you join me in showing our appreciation for her commitment to the college.
So that concludes our longevity recipients.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Our next item, we have no minutes, so we move on to public comment. And we always are happy to see someone who wants to come and speak with us during public comment. For those of you who are not familiar with this process, it's an opportunity for anyone to come before the board and speak to us about something that would be within our jurisdiction and give us your viewpoint. And because it happens from time to time that we have a number of people, the basic rules are 5 minutes per person unless it's an overwhelming number of people. And today we have 3 people who want to speak with us, so please come up when I call your name. Daniel Torres.
Hello, my name is Daniel Torres. I am a student working on efforts to make Santa Barbara County a safer space for the undocumented community. With Inauguration Day getting closer and closer, I highly encourage the board to take action in support of the undocumented community in any way whatsoever. As part of the immigrant community, the past few weeks have been very difficult, worrying for the future safety of my family and friends. There is widespread support from the student body for action from the board in supporting the undocumented community in whatever way possible, and school districts across the county and across California have really been making moves to make their students feel safe and welcome on campus. And there are a variety of ways that this can be done. So in light of the serious threat that the president-elect poses to our community, I highly encourage you all to take some form of action. Time is of the essence as Inauguration Day looms closer and closer. Thank you.
Lauren Mindell.
Hello, thank you for taking the time to hear from your community members and myself. I come before you not just as a community member, but a staff member here at SBCC, where I'm very happy to be. It is very important. I definitely agree with Mr. Torres that action be taken strongly and vocally to protect all groups of students here at SBCC. The president-elect has threatened to deport 2 to 3 million people right off the bat. As we just saw here today, oaths were taken to uphold the Constitution, and I know you take that seriously. Donald Trump is a threat, a direct threat to our Constitution. Presidents and chancellors at the UC system and Cal State have already come out and said that they will not share information, including names, whereabouts of students who might be at risk due to our president-elect. I applaud our new admin here at City College in their work that I hope will be done in the future to protect all of our students, and the work that I hope to see from this board along the same lines. We are a nation of immigrants. My great-grandparents came over through Ellis Island on both sides during the 1800s, one side fleeing persecution in Russia and Germany, the other side, my mom's side, just seeking a better life for their families. And I'm so glad that they were able to make it over here, and I would like to see the ways in which people come together in this great nation be taught more in our school. I think a requirement for an ethnic studies course in the coursework here at SBCC, as well as the high schools in Santa Barbara, would do great things towards this line in teaching us that we are not so different from one another. STEM, but so is information, media, and cultural literacy. And when we see each other as more of the same instead of the other, which these programs absolutely do, then we are less at risk for violence, demagoguery, and the better we are equipped to work together for a better future for all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lauren. And Gilbert Robledo.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak, and it's a great pleasure for me to be back home here. It's amazing that when I think back, that I've been retired 10 years, and those 10 years really went by fast. For those of you that might not know, I'm native Santa Barbaran, and my parents were Mexican immigrants that came over in the 20s, fleeing the Mexican Revolution, and they came over as children, and with their families, and they ended up settling in Southern California. My mom's family settled in Pacoima, and my dad's family settled in Oxnard, and both families were migrant farm workers families, and they met in Oxnard. That's where the Oxnard Pacoima connection in our family, and so they started their family in Oxnard, and two of my siblings were born there, and then I was born in Santa Paula, and they were migrant workers working throughout. Soon after I was born, my mom made the decision to, and thank her for that, to come to Santa Barbara. So that was like 6 months after I was born. And then I had another sister that was born here in Santa Barbara. And they were my parents became naturalized citizens in let's see, 45, and they were the inspiration for us to go to school, all five of us, and finish high school, which we did. And also, they instilled in us the importance of voting, so I think that the immigrant population in this country, especially in California, has contributed immensely to our nation. And I think that Santa Barbara City College is a important, or can have an important function in creating a sanctuary for the many undocumented students that we know that are here, and that many of them didn't realize that they weren't even born here. You know, I had a friend of mine that graduated the same time I did from high school in 1959, and he had come with his parents, and they worked out in the Goleta ranches, in the what was then Dos Pueblos Ranch. And when he was graduating in 59, he comes home, well, that year anyway, and his mom tells him that the immigration people are looking for him. He says, what do you mean? And he says, well, you weren't born here. And so he got taken back and was, I don't know exactly if it was some kind of a detention thing, but he got it straightened out and he came back, and then he joined the military. And after that, when he got out, so it's something that strikes this community a lot, and this community has benefited from the undocumented. And I agree with the two speakers previously that it would be great if this institution would be part of the sanctuary movement in California and the United States. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Gilbert. That concludes our public comment. And our next item are the reports. And our first one is Dr. Priscilla Butler, report from the Academic Senate.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Beebe. So it's the end of the year, and for me, that's always a time for a little bit of reflection and also looking forward. And one thing that has become really clear to me recently is, especially given how much time we've seen each other recently, how much work the board members put in on behalf of our college and our community. And I wanted to express thanks for all of the work that you've done for the past years, not just this year. Looking forward to the future, I noticed that there were a number of topics at the end of our board agenda for meeting topics for the coming year. And one of them is listed as limitations on and functions of out-of-state and international students. And I think when there are really complex topics, as this one is, it's, I like, to plant a seed, because I know I think about things for a long time, and many thoughts come to me at unexpected moments. So I wanted to hopefully plant a few seeds in your heads about things that faculty members have said and the Faculty Senate has come to positions on related to that topic. So I have reported before about an action the Senate took on April 27, 16, which was in support of 5 recommendations, and they were partly in response to the budget and enrollment issues that were becoming apparent at that time. And so I'm not going to read all 5 of them, but there are 2 that are particularly relevant for this topic. One of them is, and this is the language from the recommendation, invest in marketing and outreach to prospective new and continuing students. And the really important part of that, I think, is the second half, which says, because a diverse student body contributes to a richer learning experience for all. And at the time, we were certainly talking about this in relation to just out-of-state and international students, but I think given, the we've had, I also believe that our faculty would support that statement for all of our students, including those. And another statement from that set of recommendations were to limit the number of international students to 1,500 per year, but on the upper end of that scale, because we really believe that the students who come from out of area contribute a great deal to the learning environment of our students. And we brought that those recommendations to CPC and discussed them at the May 17th, 2016 CPC meeting, and had a lot of interesting discussion around that. The recommendation going forward, because it was the first discussion, was to bring it to future CPC meetings. Well, it seems like some of these have recurred through many CPC meetings this fall, including our retreats that we had in the summertime. And I think the one way that we can say those culminated were at the November CPC meeting. And reading very briefly from the minutes from November 29th, 2016 CPC meeting, we had 6 work groups, one of which was marketing and communications. And one part of that was that the work group stressed the need to commit to providing resources to meet the Board of Trustees approved 1,500, and a 5-year commitment to this cap was recommended for planning purposes. And I know previously to this you have heard information about how not being able to judge how many students there will be makes it very difficult to plan for them. So having a longer term planning cycle would be very helpful. And so finally, you know, as I see our discussion, our planning processes, how we work together, I see all these discussions being linked. This actually started at one of the Senate subcommittees, which is called Planning and Resources, came to the Senate, it came to CPC, and very consistently among the faculty, and I think also it's fair to say based on the fact that CPC endorsed the marketing group's recommendation, that CPC being our college governance body, there's widespread support for this. And that is reflected also in our approved AP 4026, the philosophy and criteria for international education. And so, you know, I hate to read too much, but there are 3 lines from that AP which I think reflect a lot of the foundation for why faculty feel so strongly about this. And so, first and 5th and 7th bullet points. So the first, development of courses of study in as many fields as possible to increase students' understanding of global issues and cultural differences. The next, opportunities for domestic and international students to interact effectively and routinely share their views, perceptions, and experiences in educational settings. And the last one that I wanted to read, the district encourages the presidents of, not the presidents, there's only one president, the presence of qualified students from other countries with sufficient geographic diversity to inspire an appreciation for differences among cultures and a deeper understanding of the values and perspectives of other people. And those are really the intentions and the beliefs behind our position on the role of out-of-state and international students at our college. And while we haven't had an extended discussion on some of the topics that have arisen post-election, we did have a short discussion at our November Senate meeting about how we as faculty can respond to the political pressures, the external forces, the social milieu that we find ourselves in, so that students feel supported in their education. And to me, any of these groups that we could point to, whether we're talking about undocumented students, whether we're talking about resident students, out-of-state students, or international students, I don't like, although I know we have to label everybody, I don't like separating these students so much. I like to see them all as students, and once we start putting people in a certain category and talking about them in a certain way that separates them, I think, you know, the point that we are trying to commit to is providing the quality educational experience for everyone, and that all of the students all together benefit from having that variety, that diversity of student, in whatever way you define diversity, that diversity of students in our classrooms and on our campus and in our community. So a few seeds, I hope I've planted, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Could I just ask a
sorry.
quick, I've forgotten the number of the AP. Is it AP 326, was it?
4026.
I was wrong. 4026. Okay, thank you.
Could I comment? Priscilla, I'm really glad you raised these issues because although it's been a while since I've been in a classroom, that was also my experience, that international students tended to raise the bar. Other American students, our local students, benefit by their very presence, and they simply worked harder. And they, in addition to the other factor that you mentioned, that they get to learn about diversity from diversity, and that's a great value we should not overlook. Thank you.
Okay. Dylan Raymond, Student Senate, Associated Students.
Good afternoon, President Croninger, President Beebe, and members of the board. Thank you for having me here today to report on the Associated Students. The ASG has had an incredible and productive semester. Exciting new innovations in our organization have improved how we represent our students. This semester, we directed much of our energy towards establishing these changes so that we can have the infrastructure in place to focus most of our time next semester organizing projects on the ground, reaching out to and helping students across our campus. Let me give you an overview of what we accomplished so far this semester. The ASG has possibly been putting in double the work than previous years have. With the addition of a second weekly meeting on Monday evenings, we now have the opportunity to truly delve into nuances and complexities on a vast array of student issues. This, along with a new accountability policy and clearly laid out standing rules of our board, has allowed our productivity to grow exponentially. Another example of an innovation is that our meeting minutes and agendas are no longer created by college staff, but are now created by students. This may seem like a small change, but in fact, it has greatly impacted the engagement of ASG members for the better. I'm very excited to see our student government be so active and engaged, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much higher we can push that bar. We have added 7 new positions to our bylaws, replacing the senator-at-large positions. In previous years, ASG senators worked alongside ASG officers. We felt, however, that these members were directionless and often were not given the necessary structure and focus to accomplish great things. So by replacing senators with more specific officer positions, we hope that all 16 ASG members will have their own jurisdiction to pursue. Our new positions include a parliamentarian, a commissioner of sustainability, a commissioner of philanthropy, and a commissioner of academics. At the beginning of next semester, we will begin again our efforts to fill 5 vacant positions on our board. I'm very pleased with the changes that we've made. One thing that I'm very excited about is the ASG's passing of a stipends proposal at our last meeting this semester. All ASG members, like the student trustee, shall begin to receive a semesterly stipend based on the work they do for the students. The reason the ASG felt this was so critical to implement was our realization of how much of a self-selected group of privileged students we were already. We were all able to give our time to represent students because we had those extra hours in our day that we didn't need. Stipends, we hope to ensure that all SPCC students, regardless of financial background or need, will have the opportunity to serve their school and community. It's the stipend program that will open up our student government to the best students that SPCC has to offer. Lastly, this semester, the ASG revamped its finances and expenditure system with new safeguards in place to ensure that student money is properly expended and that the money and that the budget of the ASG is adhered to. We hope to create a lasting culture of fiscal responsibility in our organization, and of course, we will continue to be committed to becoming more transparent and accountable to the students and to the public. For next semester, many exciting things are on the horizon. In addition to planning a student leadership summit that will bring together student leaders from across SPCC student organizations, the ASG is organizing music and charity events that we hope will encourage students to come back to campus for safe and meaningful evenings of fun in which students will be encouraged to give back to our community. We hope to continue to develop programs and initiatives for addressing students' biggest concerns, which includes those of housing, food costs, and environmental sustainability. And above all, our goal is to become as representative of the students as we possibly can, to be their truly biggest advocates and loudest voice on this campus. There is an issue that I would like to discuss with you that has arisen this semester regarding the student trustee position. The A position as having two commitments to the Board of Trustees as well as to the Associated Student Government. There are powers and privileges with concomitant responsibilities and accountability for both organizations. We have an accountability policy in the Associated Student Government. If you miss a certain number of meetings, if you aren't putting in your tabling commitment, if you aren't putting in any work at all, you are removed from the ASG almost automatically. It's not really a question. If you miss a certain number of meetings, you're basically removed. Everyone on the ASG is held to this rule except for the student trustee. And this wasn't really a problem until the student trustee passed the threshold of what would normally constitute a removal. What happened instead is we were not able to remove the student trustee due to a conflict with board policy and administrative policy. In administrative policy, a petition of 20% of enrolled students, so 4,000 students, is required to recall a student trustee for a typically not very competitive position. So it's a very high threshold for this position, and the ASG is required to continue to treat this member as a full-fledged member of the ASG without any attached responsibility. And so many ASG members are frustrated by this. And so I would like to work with the Board of Trustees and President Beebe advising board policy, administrative policy, just so that this won't happen in the future. But besides that, I am looking forward to working with the board on future projects, and thank you for the opportunity to report throughout this semester on the progress we've made. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. You are clearly a very busy group.
We hope to be, yes.
Yeah. Anthony?
All right. I would like to commend you for your just diligence and thoroughness in your position as president of the student body. I think over the years that I've been involved in other things as well as this board, I've never heard someone be so detailed and so inclusive, and thorough. And the fact that you've uncovered like a loophole or something that came to your attention means it just testifies to the diligence that you've applied to your position. I'm impressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anthony?
Well, I just want to concur with Trustee Nilsson on that. You know, Dylan, you've shown extraordinary patience and contribution to the CPC, the college governance body, and you've contributed there mightily and very thoughtful on many occasions. And we treat you as an equal, obviously, and you've certainly deserved that kind of respect. And I do want to reach out to you and see if we can come up with maybe some kind of a resolution that we can present to the board to see if we can figure out how to make that work a little bit better for you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Liz, report on classified employees.
Good afternoon, and congratulations to President, Vice President, and the 3 members of the board that have continued on serving the college. We all appreciate what you do for us. The consultation group, in our discussion at our last meeting, we mainly discussed the SERP. We had gotten a list of it's in your agenda 8.1 of all the people taking the SERP, and it's about a little over 10% of our bargaining unit. And almost half of our CCG members. So we will be meeting the challenge in the next few months to try to figure out how we're going to handle the replacements and maybe get a chance to look at our structure and see how it works. So that's our challenge. I think it's everybody's challenge because, you know, most of the work is still there. And some of the areas are pretty critical that staff members, like the financial aid department's losing too. So things like that, you know, there's going to be a lot of work to figure out how to get everything done. So that's mainly where we're looking at right now. But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Liz. Now we have a report from Dr. Beebe.
I want to share my report and yield my time to our interim athletic director, Ellen O'Connor, who has done just a phenomenal job as interim director, AD. And I just want to tell you that, as she'll explain, the Vaqueros, our athletic programs, and all of our student athletes have had, as David Loveton expressed, the best actually season ever, best fall ever, and really extraordinary work. And I just want to turn it over to Ellen to talk about that.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Dr. Beebe for the opportunity to come before the board and to share with you some really exciting news about what's happening in our athletic program. It's really been an exciting fall for us, but I want to preface my remarks before I get started on this with just an expression of my thanks to all of you. As trustees, your leadership to sponsor programs that allow students to explore their talents and really deeply connect with those passions that in turn assist them in developing their potential as learners is really pivotal. What I'm going to share with you today is a direct reflection when they have opportunities for personal expression in instructional environments that are rich with learning opportunities for critical thinking, for problem solving, personal accountability, and collaboration with others. Athletics, along with many of the other college activities, provide a home for students as they explore the diverse learning opportunities on our campus. And those programs are critical for student success. What I find is that students, it provides an anchor from which they can really blossom in the larger educational community. I just want to thank you on behalf of our 400 student athletes for your leadership, for your support for these programs. They're critical to student success, and I'm thrilled to be able to share with you what we did this fall. So, sorry, as you can see here, we had a fantastic fall that combined a record of many of our, we had 5 playoff teams, 178, 18, and 1, which is pretty darn good. So that's a whole lot of wins. That was, is now adorning the athletic areas on there. So both conference championships as well as regional championships. We had 3 conference champions, which were women's golf, women's water polo, women's volleyball. 3 conference coach of the years, which were Chuck Melendez, Chucky Roth, and Ed Gover. They all coach each of those teams, water polo, volleyball, and women's golf. Our women's golf team finished 2nd in the state of California. They were 99-1. The one loss was, unfortunately, at the state championship. They played fantastic. And we're leading after the first day, and the second day, the other team that won, Sierra College, was just lights out. Everybody apparently thought they were playing on the LPGA or something, but they were really fantastic. Carolyn Chang, who's pictured in the bottom picture here, was the WSC Player of the Year, but she's also been the 2-time individual champion. She's been the best golfer in the state, and she's off to Cal State East Bay next year. Our women's water polo team, this program is only in their 3rd year of existence, so pretty amazing what they've accomplished in 3 years. They finished 2nd in the state. Again, they were 33-2. The Southern California Coach of the Year was Chucky Roth. He's a full-time instructor out at San Marcos High School, also coaches their water polo and their women's swimming, and he coaches our water polo and our women's swimming here. And he has 3 small children. I have no idea how the man does it, but he's really fantastic. Addison Seal, who was the WSC Player of the Year, also a Vaquero, she is off to UCSB on a full ride next year also, and she's a communications major. Our women's soccer team finished 3rd in the state, and again, they had 6th in the national rankings. Coach Sisterson had his 150th victory. They got hot in the playoffs, so they actually finished third in our conference and then won 4 consecutive playoff games to make it to the state championship, where they finished third in that. So just a terrific group. It was really, really fun to watch them roll through the playoffs. Our women's volleyball team won their 5th straight conference championship. They were ranked 3rd in the state. They had both the Player of the Year and the Libero of the Year, as well as the Coach of the Year. And the Player of the Year and the Libero of the Year were both freshmen. So we're expecting great things from them next year. Our football program hosted our first bowl game in 33 years. So they finished the season at 7-3, and then we're in the bowl game. Set 12 school records, had 13 All-American Pacific League players, 5 first-team All-League players. Just an incredible year, and a lot of dramatic come-from-behind victories, which were just really thrilling to watch. I also wanted to just acknowledge, this is Mitch Wisniewski. Mitch played football here for us 2 years ago. He transferred last year to the University of Utah. He was just named this week as the Ray Guy Award winner. This is for the best punter in the Division I football. This is like the Heisman Trophy for punters. So this is it's really a prestigious award. And so we're thrilled that he's a vaquero and was able to mention that in all the press interviews that he did. So he's also been named to 11 All-American teams. So pretty special, really pretty special. Our men's soccer team also had a great season. Again, most victories in SBCC history with Coach Sisterson, and they finished 2nd in the WSC North. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but they did have a terrific season, and Nick Genton was named to the All-State team. And then our cross-country programs have both made it to the state tournament, or excuse me, state meet in the last few years, and they've been consecutive. Actually, they've been there multiple years now, so that's been a really great thing. That program is really on the rise, which we're glad to see. But all of that's really great, the wins and losses, but what we're really about is human potential, and what we're really about is allowing students to really fulfill their potential, and we believe that athletics is a large part of that. So we believe in a student-centered, what we refer to as the VACademic support team. So we try to make sure that our student athletes are performing in not only on the field, but also in the classroom. And we use this diagram on our website. It's on the very first page of the athletic website, the fact that we are student-centered, and there are a number of components that play a part in that, from coaches to our academic achievement zone, captains, councils, athletic trainers, and of course our academic counselors. 3 of those, as we refer to them, there are VACademic superstars, would be Kathy O'Connor, who's here today, who's one of our academic advisors for student athletes, Joanne Graham, and Michael Gamboa. He is our special program advisor for athletics. They do really yeoman's work. The NCAA manual is about this thick in terms of rules and regulations for student athletes. So not only does a student athlete have to be accepted to the institution, they have to meet additional requirements in order to be eligible to play at that next institution. And these are the folks that really keep our student athletes on track with that, and they stay abreast of all those changes. I did want to mention what happened this fall, but it referred to our spring sports last year. We had 4 teams that we have nominated. This was the most in the Western State Conference for Scholar Team Awards. Our baseball team, men's tennis, women's swimming, and women's tennis all have been nominated, and again, you can see their GPAs up there. And we're anticipating that with our fall sports, we will have nominating in the spring based on their fall performance. So it's really been a stellar year for us from last spring to this fall as well. And we're looking for another repeat performance. Last spring, we had 94 student athletes that graduated, a cumulative GPA of 3.08. These are all full-time students. Many of those students earned athletic scholarships to continue their education, and it's just been a really great program for these students. I brought 2 of our stars with us. These are 2 of our 2017 graduates. You'll be seeing them on graduation day. Billy Sharmug and Isaac McLean, and I wanted them to just share briefly their experiences so you had an opportunity to really hear it really from a student, not from an administrator. So, fellas, I'll let you take it away.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be able to express ourselves to you guys. My name is Billy Sharmog. I'll be receiving my AA in Social and Behavioral Sciences. A little background on me. Out of high school, I went to Manteca High School, about 4.5 hours up north. And doesn't matter. But Out of high school, I had a partial Division II scholarship to, me and Isaac actually went together. We're from Manteca as well, same place. We had partial Division II scholarships to go play football at the University of Mary in Bismarck, North Dakota. Again, another place, doesn't really matter. And, you know, we weren't very happy with our decision to be out there. We spent who was playing football at the City College over here, and he had raving reviews. And, you know, obviously, we took one look at the stadium, and we were pretty sold. So we came down here, and this will be our second year playing football here, and, you know, we will be earning our degrees. And, you know, I'm thankful to say that I went from having a partial Division II scholarship out of high school to having 3 Division I scholarships, you know, 4 rides. And I couldn't have done it without the support staff that I had around here. From the counselor, Joanne, setting my class up to the coaches getting on me and making sure that I go to class and turn in all my homework and stuff like that. It's really been a truly life-changing experience. I could say that from the bottom of my heart, that, you know, I realized my full potential here. You know, I didn't think I would be sitting here in front of you guys talking 2 years ago that I'd have 3 Division I scholarships, schools that want to pay for everything, you know. It's truly kind of surreal to me, and most importantly, I'm receiving my AA degree, you know, and getting the opportunity to receive my bachelor's degree. And it's truly kind of surreal to me, and I just want to thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to truly change my life in that way. So thank you guys.
Hi, I'm Isaac McLean, also from Manteca, California. Not to touch too much on our background, but for putting in place the programs that go on here to help us succeed on and off the field. I think some of the most important programs that really helped were having the mentorship program, having once a week you go in there and talk with a mentor, and, you know, just have someone that actually cares for you. You know, people are looking out for you, making sure your work's on time, you turn in everything. And even having the coaches, you know, they make sure you get to class on time, sit in the front row, get to know your teachers, break those stereotypes of student athletes down. And, you know, the priority registration, that's a big time thing over here. I know a lot of schools don't have that, and we really appreciate you guys putting that in place. And also having PD 140 mandatory for all student athletes. We lived with some regular students last year in our apartment complex, and they just had no clue what classes to take, where they should be going. And Joanne just, you know, laid it all out for us and just made life so simple for us over here. Just put it on the plate, and we just took advantage of it. And that's all I really have to say.
Nice.
You have further?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you to both of them. They delayed their Christmas vacation by 2 days so that they could address you. They felt that it was that important, and I really want to thank you for that. I would be remiss also if I didn't just congratulate Coach Moropoulos on a fantastic season. Our football coach here, who's been really terrific and really very much in many ways a father figure to many of the students that we have. He's just been terrific, and it's no doubt to me why our program has been successful. He's provided excellent leadership for us. And in the back there, we've got Akil Hill, who is our eligibility specialist. So he's the one that gets to look at all the paperwork and make sure students are meeting all the eligibility requirements in order to be able to participate. So again, just wanted to say thank you so much for your leadership, for your support to provide these programs for students, because as you can see, it makes a difference, changes people's lives. And without those, you know, we wouldn't be the institution that we are today. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to say to Alan and Coach and Kathy and all the support staff here that help these student athletes be successful. We owe you a great deal of gratitude in all of your effort and the things that you're doing. Coach, I appreciate you bringing me into the huddle at the bowl game, and I appreciated the value system that you're teaching the student athletes and where you're coming from with all that. That's the first place that you start, and, you know, helping them be good students. is just, of course, top of our list, and we appreciate your student-centeredness for all your efforts. So I guess that's all I have to say about that, but it really is phenomenal, their approach.
Thank you all, and sorry you lost 2 days of your vacation there. But thank you for coming and speaking with us. We next have report from board members, and I'd just like to remind folks that since our last report from board members, a number of us went to a league conference, and we all went to a foundation gathering last night, which was just great. And so if any of you have interesting comments on any of those topics or others, now's the chance.
Well, I will say a word or two about some of the workshops that I attended at the CCLC conference. The one that made a lot of impact on me was one that focused on civic culture development, that emphasized that many of our students, for some reason, leave our institutions without truly understanding the nature of the civic responsibility. And that would include having and holding a civic argument, being able to hold their own in such an argument without having to yell and scream. It also related to our sense of being a part of a global community. I was just very impressed by faculty members who held that conference. The other workshop that I was very interested in had to do with incarceration and both education within the system and immediately upon release. And I often reflect on how much it costs to incarcerate somebody as compared to how much or little, by comparison, it costs to educate them. And I keep wondering, why don't we make those comparisons more public and abide by the outcome? The outcome of the logic is to place more of our state funding in educational areas and less in the penitentiary system, which obviously fails because it has a recidivism rate of upwards close to 70%. We don't. We actually graduate people and encourage them to get real jobs. So those were two of the workshops that I participated in, and they were meaningful.
Marianne?
I would just like to say how very proud and impressed I was last night at the foundation reception at the turnout of the trustees. All of us spend a lot of hours on college work, and it was really exciting for the foundation board to have all of us there. Several of them mentioned that this year was the most feeling of support they had ever had from the trustees. So, hooray for all of us.
Craig?
What I want to talk about is really just relevant to the members of this board, because this whole past year, it's been kind of a busy year. A number of the board members and my fellow trustees here, I got to witness them stepping up to the plate, putting in, wow, more hours than I wanted to put in even. I saw a lot of effort. I saw a lot of working together, discussions among ourselves. I saw some differences of opinion, but there was a lot of conversation going on, and nobody got upset or irritated. Nobody seemed to get mad. Everybody just buckled down and saw it through to the end. With the changes we've seen, and we're going to see, more results as we go through the next year. I'm very pleased with the performance of my colleagues over the past year, and I wanted to say that as every one of them for their mutual cooperation, not with me necessarily, but including me with each other, and this board acting, to achieve results. And I think it's commendable. So thanks to each one of you.
Jonathan?
Yeah, so I'll talk about what I saw at the conference that I thought was very beneficial. First was I went to the one about equal opportunity. I think 4 of us went to the equal opportunity employment one. I thought there was a lot of good stuff to learn from the Chancellor's office there, and at the next meeting, we'll have a couple resolutions that reflect some of the recommendations that they made, boards, to take action on for faculty diversity. So that was good. And then the other one was about facility bonds, and it was about College of Marin, who did a non-traditional approach to do their facility bond, where they did the process to develop what was going to be spent by the bond for the year before the bond was on the ballot, so that when the bond passed, they were ready to go right away with getting projects. The benefits they listed were, first was immediate implementation of quick start projects, so you can get early visible results right away. You can have the first major project occupancy 12 to 14 months earlier from the bond passing, so again, we can get what we think we need done much quicker. They had a cost savings of 8 to 10% from the escalation of costs that would usually happen if you passed a bond and then started work many years later. So they saved $8 million on 100, which they said was one major project extra for them. And then they said it also reduces or eliminates the capital risk and Prop 39 compliance. So that was a very interesting session. I obviously did not capture everything that they had, but I took a lot of pictures, and I got their email so that they could send, I could reach out to get, their exact book and how they did it and all that. But it was a very impressive process that they laid out. And their bond was successful. They said that their bond passed with a higher rate than another college had who did the traditional process, and that other college didn't get their first project done until after theirs had, and they had passed their bond a year and a half prior. So that seemed very beneficial for the college. Also, I want to mention I went out on Monday to a community meeting called Progressive Coalition, and there was a lot of discussion there about what can be done locally in response to the presidential election, and there was a lot of support for the SBUSD action and for us to take action. So that's why we see some people here today was out of that. So I just wanted to mention that there was a significant amount of support in the community for us to take action, and Veronica and Anthony and I are supposed to meet within the next 2 days to start looking into things and specifically January 12th or the next meeting after. But I think it's really important that we do a statement of support and specific policy changes that we can find. So a lot of people have been doing just more symbolic statements of support. So I think it's important that we look into the tangible things we can do at the board level. And I lastly want to say thank you for the honor to serve as vice president. So I'm excited to serve in defining the role better, like we discussed last week, and getting us good 2 officer positions going.
Marty?
Yeah, I'd just like to add a little bit there to what Jonathan was just saying. It seems to me that, and I was surprised by this, and I shouldn't have been surprised by it, the very articulate statement from the Cal State president and the community college president almost immediately after the election. It was just very wonderful for our students to be able to read something like that, as well as our staff and faculty, everybody. So that was just amazing and good. And then also wanted to commend Dr. Beebe for his statement too that he sent around to the staff. It was just, those things are hard to write, and so I appreciate how well said it was. That essentially that we're a safe place here for students, and that we're student-centered, and that's what we are aimed at. And you said it so much better than I did, so, but very well. I too agree that we need to, I'm glad you're meeting with Dr. Beebe to come up with something, but I was also very impressed. It must be my month to be impressed or something, but very impressed with the Santa Barbara School District statement that they passed on Tuesday, I believe. It's just if you can get a hold of it by just, you know, looking them up and looking up their agenda, and it's right on there. But it's a very amazing statement, especially considering at the beginning of that meeting, before they got sworn in, there was only one school board member left because the 3 had gone off, and then they also, Monique Limon left too, to go to be in the assembly, but I guess she helped with the statement. Very, very heartwarming statement, and very enabling, and really made you feel like you could do something, you know, at the end of that. So I know we can come up with something, because from my point of view, knowing all of us, we certainly agree that you know, all the students are important, and it's a safe place for students, and that we are a weaker nation without immigrants, for sure. Can you imagine? So they just, it's enriching to our lives to have foreign students, and to have students who have been here all their lives doing well in college, and then they find out they're not citizens. So to support those students is important. So I didn't mean to go on and on, but just so much has happened, and in such a good way, I think. So thank you, and thanks for meeting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
One quick thing I wanted to mention, and that is that Priscilla mentioned seeing us a lot. Well, that's because Priscilla has been really busy, and I want to thank her and all the other members of our staff who were present as well at the foundation party last night. So thanks for taking your time and coming, because it means a lot to all of us. We have a need to adjust our agenda, because some folks here need to get to plays for children. And so what I'd like to do is, you know the drill with the consent calendar. What we want to do is deal with our business services items. So that includes the list that starts with, my number 10, business services, and we have both items that would normally be on the consent agenda, and then followed by resolutions. And so the question before you is, I'm interested personally in hearing a little more about 10.4, which is the contract award for West Campus Classroom. So I would pull that from the agenda just so we can hear a little more about it. Is there anything else in 10.1 through 10.5 that any of you would like to pull to hear more about? Because we're going to be talking to Lindsay so she can get to the play.
Are you skipping all of 6?
Pardon?
Are you skipping all of 6 for now? Are you skipping all items 6 point
We'll come back to the
later?
rest of them. We'll move back to the consent calendar. We just want to hear from Lindsay on anything that we have questions on for Lindsay.
No, I'm not talking about the consent calendar. I'm talking about the appointment to the school board.
We're going to do all that.
Got
We're going to go back to that, but Lindsay needs to be able to
I get it.
get there.
I do have a revision to make, or
Right.
we have one.
And then there's the business service action items, which are resolutions. And that's where you have your
Right, exactly.
change. Okay. So anything else in the consent
No, but
listing?
I thought the consent calendar also includes the HR.
It does,
consent
but I'm
items.
skipping to Lindsay so that she can talk, and then we'll
Okay.
pull, everything
We'll
that
pull it all
isn't
together.
pulled,
Got it.
we'll do together.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so I'm not hearing anyone pulling anything. Let me just ask my quick question on 10.4, which is, as we look at the summary information, there is an item where we don't have a bid, and then there is an item where you thought the bid was too high.
I asked him to pull it up so we could see what you're referring to. It's easier to see the numbers. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have architectural specialties, and we don't have a bid amount, and we have the flooring where you're saying that that was too high, you're recommending we reject that. So my question was just, I see at the bottom 558,000 left in our budget, and I'm wondering how that meshes with the two elements we don't now have, the flooring and the architectural services. Is that a number we You can't predict the bids, but you could tell us whether that's within what we're expecting we might be able to get.
Right, that's right. So the flooring, the 358, that bid was too high. So we're expecting something better to come in. So it will definitely be within that 558,000 we have left over, because we want it to come in lower. The architectural specialties, we went out to bid twice and didn't receive sufficient bids within the budget that we were expecting twice. So that's why we were able to proceed with this negotiated contract per this code 22038, which allows our contract manager to go out and do the work either themselves or not go out to bid and just go out and secure the work from small contractors locally. They're expecting we'll save even more money by doing that. So we will still stay within that.
Okay, so
remainder
whatever
amount of the
architectural
558.
specialties are, they're anticipated to be still a price within
Yes.
the 558.
It's a lot of small things like blinds and.
Okay, well, that was just my question, because I didn't know how from 558.
Got it.
Anthony, did you want to say something about the resolution?
Resolution number 14, the augmentation of revenue for 2015-16. We just had, we picked up a wrong date, and we corrected that. We have the corrected resolution at your places. So we just corrected the additional revenue to be included in the 2015-16 adopted budget rather than the 2016-17, which is in the original. So we just corrected that. It's okay. That's all.
Okay, is there anything we wanted to say about the 2.3 million for 15-16?
Yeah, we did want to, talk a little bit about that if we could, and I was going to let Lindsay just explain, when we get differences in our budget, when it's a negative number, we of course want to scrutinize that. But, I contend that it can be just as important for us to scrutinize when we get additional revenues to make sure we understand where that's coming from. If you've had a chance to work a cash register, you know that if you're either over or under, it's not good in either case, right? You need to be spot on in terms of your drawer. And so I kind of think of it the same way. I mean, whether we're over or under, we need to know what the reasons behind that are all about. And so I just wanted to ask Lindsay to talk a little bit about resolution number 17 in terms of augmentation of revenue.
Yes, that's great. And I'd also like to add to what Dr. Beebe just conveyed. Statements have been approved, and we've completely closed everything from the prior fiscal year. This is the time when we do any adjustments to comply with the California Code regulations. We cannot be over budget by major object in any of the major objects for the prior year. So if that does happen, we do adjustments at this time. That's why they're for last year. We only had one very small one in the expense side, which is not the resolution we're talking about, but we did have 3 on the revenue side we're looking at with this resolution number 14. And the first line, the 452,000, that falls in our major object for state revenues. And that was related to our state lottery funds coming in higher than expected. Those are usually about 2 to 2.2 million a year. For some reason, last year we got 2.5. It's very hard to project how much we're going to receive in lottery funds. It's good news, but we do have to do an adjustment to show that we're not under budget there. And then in the local revenue, the next major object, which is much higher, we had to do a $1.7 million adjustment. That major object has, I have them here, probably 100 plus account codes that make up all of the revenues in that area of local revenues. There are lots of small ups and downs, but the largest differences were in our non-resident tuition fee area. That came in higher than we had planned, which was, it's hard to project what's going to happen when we increase those non-resident fee tuition amounts with the economy and what's happening. So we increased those fees and still had a similar demand, so the revenue was a little higher than we'd planned. We also received more than we'd expected in the RDA dissolution proceeds. We keep budgeting that very conservatively because they're supposed to be going away, and we still received a pretty good sum of revenues in that area. So just to give you some high level on that, The third one, other financing sources, is a very small major object, and that's really us transferring funds from general fund, unrestricted fund to restricted fund, things of that nature. In there, we received more money than we'd expected for our financial aid media campaign grant, which is just a pass-through, so just a small change there. That's what I have.
Lindsay, when we get RDA funding, is that compensated for in some other negative way? In other words, does the state take away funding
No.
from some other line?
No.
Okay.
It's standalone.
Once again, another rumor set aside. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Any other questions? Anyone on that? Craig? No?
No.
Okay. It would also be helpful if you could touch on that was 15-16, and
Mhm.
you were playing catch-up
Yes.
to make the books conform with California regulations. In 16-17, we have another resolution now where we're adding to our revenue, and it's a pretty hefty number, 6.4 million, which I think would be helpful to understand better, because I don't have the impression that this is actually going to solve any fiscal crises.
Right, that's correct, Marcia. So you're referring to resolution number 16, which includes two very large increases to revenue for categorical funding. One of them is the $5.3 million for our financial aid media campaign. We are the fiscal agent for that, so we get all of the funding, but we're really just a pass-through agency. We don't receive that money to our programs directly, unfortunately. And it is categorical, it is very restricted. When we completed the adopted budget, we didn't have that official contract yet, so we had to add it at this time. So it shows, for our board purposes and our resolution, an increase of $5.3 million in revenues for this year. Additionally, the same type of scenario is the $1.1 million we received for Title III, removing barrier to STEM. That's also a grant, restricted. It can't be used to offset any issues we're having in the unrestricted general fund. That is funding to us, which is great. So we will be able to benefit that, but only for those that's yes, it's
So
very.
This 5.3 million, that's a pass-through to pay for the whole system's media response?
No, not the entire system. It's like a small group of community colleges.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but we deal with it here as if it's increased revenue. I was going to celebrate, but
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
so how do we, I mean, the casual observer of our budget will look at this 5.3 million and say, my God, what are they talking about? They don't have a problem, they have a solution. How do we earmark that so that they don't come to that conclusion?
That's a good question. Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I wish, I mean, I love to provide you an answer.
Our funding structure and our budgeting structure is very complex. We have hundreds and hundreds of funds, and we have to report them to the public. We have listed there what fund number is, and it says it's restricted, but if you don't know what that means, that it's restricted, I'm not sure. Education, training.
Could we add the words pass-through, or we don't get to keep it?
Footnotes, huh?
I'm not sure.
You're adding that right now. I mean, that's part of the reason of calling it out for
Yeah.
an explanation, is for people to at least have this explanation that, no, we are not going to be able to use it for anything except pass-through.
You know, as the fiscal agent, we're responsible for showing the receipt of the funds coming in and then, you know, going out the other way. So it really is just a pass-through situation. We're not, you know, able to do anything with it while we have it or anything like that. So, you know, maybe I think this discussion is important for folks that are hearing about this so that they understand that it is a pass-through.
Okay.
Yeah, that is why when we discuss the budget, we always point out that the unrestricted general fund, unrestricted, that's where we need to focus our attention, and that's the money that we're using on a daily basis to operate. Restricted funds are highly restricted.
Okay, anyone else? Any questions? Thank you, Lindsay. I think we can keep this in our heads and go back to our agenda, and then we will have this information in our heads when we vote. So let's go back to
Marcia,
where
I just want to
we
clarify.
were.
Dr. Reed, the Title III STEM, so this is just because they break up the amount, but the award was much larger than what's here, right? So they just, is it because they pay the college in
It
increments?
comes in pieces for
In-
different years,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it was 5.3
3 million.
million for the total, but it's a 5-year.
So this is the
It's a
first.
5-year grant, so this is the one of, this is 20% of
Yeah,
it.
that's what I thought. I just remember seeing the very public news, thank you, Luz.
No, good point.
You know, press release on it. And
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This is 20% of it.
All right, I think if we can follow our agenda, we are back at 6, which is governing board. We have done the swearing in, we have done the election, so we are on 6.3, which is establishing the community college, Santa Barbara Community College District's annual organizational meeting for 2017. Last year, we established today as our organizational meeting, so now we are establishing next year's date, which 14th, 2017, and I did check to see that that's consistent with our, and I know Angie knows what she's doing here, consistent with our board policies and the statutes and all of those sorts of things. So, could I have a motion to establish next year's organizational meeting as December 14th, 2017?
I so move.
Jonathan, second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Well, we've done that. Next, 6.4, we establish our dates to meet in 2017 and the time and place. And the...
Move approval.
Second.
The dates are all there in the agenda. So, Peter moves approval. Anyone second?
Second.
Craig, second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Appointment of representative and alternate to the County Committee on School District Organization. This is something we need to do. We had Peter as our representative and Veronica as our alternate last year. How went it, Peter?
Let's exactly 0 meetings, so it is not one that has enormous gravitas or a demand on your time. And I would happily surrender the office and the accompanying power to anyone who would like it.
know who they are.
Do we have anyone who would step up to do this? Craig?
Yeah, I could do a little bit more, so that would be okay, since
Okay.
we did it kind of away with the committees. So,
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And
especially this doesn't promise to be very time-consuming. Then again, you never know.
You never know. You might have the year that something happens here. So, okay, an alternate, can someone agree to be an alternate, just in case?
Sure.
Peter? Peter will be alternate. Okay, so may I have a motion that Craig will be our representative, Peter will be our alternate?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we move now to the appointment of representative to the Santa Barbara City College Foundation Board for 2017. Mary Ann has been doing this one for us. Mary Ann, would you like to comment?
It is not like the previous discussion we just had. You do go to meetings, quite a few meetings. On the other hand, it is very interesting. And the relationship between the foundation and the trustees has been just really fun this year. So, and I have loved it. I'm not asking to leave it, but I'm also suggesting that other people might want to experience the same thing. So it is entirely up to you all.
I think this is a tremendously important relationship for us. So, anyone who's got a particular interest? Would you-
I mean, I can,
Yeah.
just because of the whole promise thing, I mean, I'd be happy and fine to do it. Not just because, obviously,
Mhm.
but when an added bonus of that, unless anybody else wanted a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, when is the meeting?
they're usually on Wednesday night. And this week was not unusual in that I had 2 meetings for that.
I wonder if one of you all could, it's good we have 2 people with interest, and I think there are more too, but having done a good job, Marianne, I'm wondering if one of you would like to be an alternate for the other, because it seems to me with so many meetings, maybe you'd need that.
I was going to suggest an alternate too.
Yeah.
Just, not only does it help in terms of the workload, but in terms of the number of people who get to know the foundation people better.
Yeah.
So is someone want to be an alternate?
Would you like me to be your alternate?
Sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyone else wanting to, this is kind of an open
Yeah.
nomination thing. Okay.
To be an alternate to the alternate?
We could just go around, yeah.
3 of us down, it might be.
We could split up the whole
might be a
year and
bad
just say,
day.
Marty, you got February, you got November.
There we go.
All right. Well, let me ask for a motion then to appoint Veronica as our representative for the foundation, and Marianne is her alternate.
I so move.
Greg moves, second.
Second.
Peter seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We had discussion last week, it was only last week, about the idea of that Marty had originally raised about an ad hoc committee that was kind of the positive side of the committee we have already working on impacts. We have an ad hoc impact committee, and this we're calling at this point, and the committee is able to decide otherwise, but the idea was community partnership ad hoc committee, so that it is a way to reach out and try to do things jointly with the community, things that we can benefit from, things they can benefit from, think about ways in which we can help each other in whatever area. And I'm not suggesting that's the duty of this committee, was to figure out its charge, but in order to do that, we need to have some membership. So who is interested in this particular committee?
I am.
Okay, Peter, Jonathan, Marty, you suggested it. Are you interested?
No, I want to see what the charge is. I mean, I don't really, I'm not
Okay.
quite, I don't have my arms around what it's supposed to do or be or anything, so I'll see what it is. And
So you're envisioning that once we know what it does, we'll reappoint?
I think so, because it's an ad hoc committee.
We can do
This
that.
is
I mean,
one to
you're
find
you're
the charge.
absolutely right, but I think
It
it's
might be
easier
the
to
same.
clarify that up front.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many trustees should, are you?
No more than 3, because, yeah.
Yeah.
that-
And it doesn't
Okay.
have to be 3.
It does not have to be 3, but we have 3 who are interested at this point, Craig, Jonathan, and Peter. Okay? So, anyone
The old
else?
boys club, that's good.
Temporarily, anyway.
Oh, no, don't start that. That doesn't exist within this board.
But that, if that's true, Marty, that would be your fault.
Okay,
Well done, well done.
I'll allow that.
Okay, so may we have a motion to appoint Peter and Jonathan and Craig to develop a charge for this committee?
I'll
So
move.
moved.
So, move.
Okay,
Second.
second? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And who's going to volunteer to do the first, to set up the meeting?
I will.
Okay, Peter's in charge of organizing the first meeting. Next, we have appointment of a legislative liaison. Jonathan eloquently advocated for this last time, and I have a feeling he's interested in doing it,
Yes, I'll be happy to do it.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else wanting to be an alternate or anything?
I do not want to be an alternate, but I would think that one of the first things you want to do is explore what else is being done among groups like us at the state level, at the academic senate level, so as to be better informed about how to plug in to information streams that are already out there.
Yeah, I was thinking at the next board meeting or the one after, I'd bring like a, work plan or research that's been done and what a timeline would be for us to go after for this. So I'll do that between now and next month.
Cool.
So I'd like to move that Jonathan serve as our legislative liaison. And I can tell you, when I got home last time, I started thinking about it. I thought, I don't know why we didn't have this before. It's really a great idea.
No, it is a great idea,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have somebody volunteering so
right.
enthusiastically.
That's right. Good.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appointment of a K-12 liaison. This was something that Anthony brought up to us, which I think is a wonderful idea. There's a great deal that can be done. Did you want to make any additional comments?
Well, we have so many shared interests with the K-12 systems that we have in Santa Barbara here. We have new board members, for example, in the Santa Barbara Unified School District, that I think we need to reach out to. We have shared values. We have programs that could have broad implications for, the students that are going to the K-12 system that will ultimately be our students. And I think that if we have a liaison that would be able to reach out to the principals and superintendents in the region and the fellow board members, it could be a great advantage for our board and for our college.
Agreed.
So who would be interested?
I mean, no, go, yeah. I mean, I could help with that and just, the only thing I think, that to me, even though it sounds like that's big, for me, it doesn't seem like one more. Like when I think of South Coast Writing Project Fellows, South Coast Science Project, Kindergarten Readiness Network, Channel Islands Regional Science Initiative, and just all the different things that I'm already involved with. So it wouldn't be one more, it would be extension of just kind of helping, similar to, I think, what we did with the science, where we were at the science thing. People were like, why isn't City College here? And someone's like, oh, we'll talk to Veronica. And then I was like, oh, well, let me email them really quick. So that part of it, kind of, I think, by default, but why don't we do like a like an alternate thing again?
There's also
Because
the
it's a big territory, it's a big thing.
It's very big.
It's a big territory. I was just thinking as you were talking about
we
it,
can
that
even
both
do
of you have different expertise, and perhaps we could appoint both of you. And then you can work together to divvy it up, and Anthony can get twice as much out of it.
No, it is true. I mean, we have, between Carpinteria and Goleta and San Ynez, it spans larger than what we could, although she threads a lot of ground. I don't, big shoes there.
That's a
Oh, that's
powerful
fun.
duo right there. Boy, I don't think they know what's coming.
We've worked together before, Anthony, and it was really dangerous.
I'm sure it was.
What did they say? One time they said, we are never sending you to a conference together ever again.
All right, well, may I have a motion to appoint both Veronica and Mary Ann, our K-12 liaison,
So
plural.
moved. So moved. Good one.
Marty, was that
Yeah,
you?
that's good.
Marty's moving. Who's second? Jonathan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, congratulations. Anthony, you've got two.
Yeah, I'm
good.
pleased, very pleased.
Now we're back to the consent agenda. This covers all of the 8s, so it's 8.1 through 8.5, and those are, let me back up a moment, but as I think the board members are now familiar with, the consent agenda is routine business items that we feel are quite adequately explained. We're familiar with them. We don't need a individual presentation or discussion. And if there is something in this group that we want to hear about, such as the things we just heard from Lindsay on, we pull them from the consent agenda. The rest we vote as a group. So we now have all of the human resources items. Those are the 8s. And then we have educational programs, which include stipends, new courses, and that sort of thing. And then we have some routine business services items, disposal of surplus equipment, register of warrants, a painting contract, that sort of thing. Is there anything in that series, 8.1, in the 9s and in the 10s, which is the business services, that anyone wants to hear about some more?
Just a comment on 8.1. It's a really scary list of people who are going away and won't be coming back in the fall. And I think that it would be easy to do this as a routine matter, but that's a lot of expertise that we will come to miss.
Well, Peter, you called attention to something I was going to mention as well, and I think Anthony wants to speak to it because on our personnel item here, number 8.1, we have the list of people who are agreeing to retire under the SERP, and it's a long list. We have a lot of people with, I guess we didn't add up the years of service there, but it would be a huge number. And we are deeply indebted to all of them for their work for the college. So, Anthony, you want to make a few comments here?
We're talking about institutional knowledge and history here that probably gets close to 1,000 years of experience. As we've been talking in my about how we celebrate that, how we honor that, a grand hail and farewell for these folks, to be able to express how we feel about them and let them know that you know, they're going to be leaving, but they're not going to be disconnected from us, and we want them to know how important their contribution has been to this college and to the students and to the community. So we'll be having that, and we'll be sending out dates to that and planning for that.
Good.
I do think before we let them go, we have to get their phone numbers because we're going to need to call them. When you look at the numbers of the institutional memory, you know,
Oh, yeah.
It's really going to be amazing.
Yep.
I know we agreed to do this, but now we've got real people on the list, and it's an amazing group of people.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
It is, and it deserves the party and the thanks that you were describing, and we'll look forward to that. All right, so may I have a motion then to approve, it's 8.1 through 10.5, except for 10.4.
Can I just ask a real quick one? 8.5, I think it is, let me just get it turned here. Yeah, 8.5 just says it's for action and not for consent. Is that, the other ones all say consent on them, and I don't care.
You mean the parens consent?
Yeah.
Does that
Although-
mean anything to you, Angie?
And if it was
that
just
it didn't?
inadvertently left off, that's fine. Or maybe,
Yeah, that was inadvertently
okay,
left off.
that's fine. No, that's fine, as long as.
It's a good point,
As long,
Marty,
I
yeah.
just noticed it's the only one that doesn't say consent, but that's okay, if it's okay to
Yeah.
vote for it together. Okay, thank you.
Was there any question or
No.
anything that you had
No.
about it? Okay. As Peter has pointed out, I think that as we all get good at describing these things, we are going to have fewer and fewer questions. All right, so a motion, and this is, again, 8.1 through 10.5, excluding 10.4, and we'll just vote on that separately because I pulled it when we were talking to Lindsay.
So, wait, why, how come the resolutions don't have to be voted on individually anymore? No, they are. Oh, they are? You're still going to call our name?
Right.
Resolutions are number 11.
Resolutions are after all this.
Gosh, my iPad is fast.
Is it melting down?
I don't know. It's the mini, maybe, and it's like the first generation, maybe. I don't know. Got it. That's fine. Good. So, yes.
Okay. Motion?
Oh, I'd like
I
to-
so move.
I'll second.
Okay, got that. Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. 10.4, which is the one we just talked briefly about, the contract award for West Campus Classroom. Motion for approval?
Motion. Second.
Second. Jonathan moved, Craig second. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we get to the resolutions. Is your iPad there? Good. Resolution 11.1. This is transfers from 15-16 ending fund balance, and I will say that I, for one, am extremely happy that it's $94,000, unlike last year, which was about $2.5 million. So, thank you, Lindsay.
Madam President, is there a reason we take these individually, or can we take them?
I think you can take the first two and as together, and then the second two, because they're different fiscal years.
They're different fiscal
That's
years,
my only-
yeah.
So I would move approval of resolution number 13 and 14.
Which is 11.1, 11.2 on the agenda. Second? Marty?
Second.
Marty seconds. Angie?
Trustee Abud?
Aye.
Trustee Bloom?
Aye.
Trustee Gallardo?
Aye.
Trustee Croninger?
Aye.
Trustee Kugler?
Aye.
Trustee Nielsen?
Aye.
Trustee Haslin?
Aye.
All right, we're now moving to 11.3 and 11.4, which are the 16-17 fiscal year. Motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Second, Craig. Any comments, questions? All right, Angie?
Trustee Abud?
Aye.
Trustee Bloom?
Aye.
Trustee Gallardo?
Aye.
Trustee Croninger?
Aye.
Trustee Kugler?
Aye.
Trustee Nielsen?
Aye.
Trustee Haslin?
Aye.
All right, that takes us to the end, except for items for future board consideration. I know a couple of things have come up already. Is there anything else?
I wanted to follow up on what Priscilla talked to us about. And I think that first item there, and it's, you know, I know it's up to you and you can do with this whatever you want to, but I think instead of wording it in this way, we might want to word it in the way of talking about right-sizing Santa Barbara City College, and then we would be talking about each of the other, you know, percentages of students that we have. But I don't know if that's what was in your mind when you put this on there.
I think originally it had more to do with the policy in which we had agreed we would revisit annually. And your comment now is very timely, because I think that it has become part of that larger picture. And I think we will hear at least some of that information at our retreat. So that segues perfectly to the idea that not on here in our list of future meetings, we now have our retreat scheduled for February 10th all day. So hold that. And we're also thinking about dinner at the end. So, any other future items for consideration?
Yeah, I would like to, maybe we could do this at the retreat. You know, we had 3 guest speakers, public speakers that addressed us today, and it's not a topic that's not on everybody's mind in one way or another. I had recently had the opportunity to discuss with some contacts in the law enforcement community, and you know, one of the things that really stood out that I thought we could bring up, and one idea I had is, instead of just making a statement, we might be able to actually do something, and all within the law. Because what I learned and what became really emphatic to me, and I'll verify that it's what I learned is really true, that undocumented students, because they're undocumented, are automatically classified as illegal. So, you know, I would like to see if we couldn't do is how they do their filing system and how they categorize things. And I can verify that, but I haven't verified it yet, although I did hear it from several sources. But we might be able to, as an institution, disseminate information on the process to achieve to become documented. And so I'd like to discuss that with, maybe at the retreat, or we could do another board.
Yeah, one of the things that we may want to start with, some grounding in the legal concepts, and maybe get legal counsel, Craig Price's firm, to come and educate all of us about kind of where we are with that in terms of, you know, rights and documentation and all the other
Yeah.
issues. And then move forward into some areas that you're discussing.
I would
As a
agree.
suggestion.
I just think it's a hot topic, and
Yes.
it's hard to speak out about it. And we just took an oath, at least I'm one of the three that just took an oath. And I don't want to do anything that doesn't, you know, comply with the laws.
I know you
the
don't.
Constitution, federal or state.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a complex topic, and I think that's a great place to start because, you know, having us with the right grounding of what are the requirements, what are the latitude, what is the law. It may not give us all the answers, but at least it gives us a starting point. So, any other topics? Anyone? All right. We did want to adjourn tonight in honor of former
In honor
faculty,
of-
and I'm turning it over to Peter for that.
We lost three former faculty members, and again, that would be too easy to overlook. Mace Perona joined this faculty in the early 70s as a member of the English. He was the creator of the Film Studies program that is now a thriving program on this campus. And he passed away not long ago. Joan Grummond was the pioneer of our study abroad program at Cambridge University, and took many students back to Cambridge and certainly caused them to be suitably enlightened. And Yvonne Jardine served as president of the Academic Senate. Actually, it was called the Representative Council at that time before we created the Senate. And she was also from the English department. All three have passed away. And I'd like to move to adjourn this meeting in their honor.
Okay, we are adjourned in their honor. Thank you, Peter.